The marble floors of Lincoln Center were polished to a mirror shine, reflecting the frantic, blinding strobes of 100 camera flashes. Each pop of light felt like a tiny explosion against my retinas, a stark contrast to the quiet, steady hammering in my chest. I clutched my portfolio to my body, the stiff leather a meager shield against the overwhelming energy of New York Fashion Week. Inside were 12 sketches, the culmination of 3 months of sleepless nights fueled by caffeine and a singular, burning vision. My Metamorphosis collection. It was more than just clothing, it was a statement. Sustainable couture, each piece designed with thermochromic fabrics that would shift in a kaleidoscope of colors in response to the wearer's body heat. It was my heart, my soul, my future, all condensed onto 12 sheets of high-grade paper. My booth, a small 10 by 10 foot space I'd poured my life savings into, was tucked away in the emerging designer's wing, a galaxy away from the established constellations of Gucci and Prada. Yet somehow, a star had wandered into my orbit. Anna Winter's assistant, a woman whose sharp bob and sharper gaze could curdle milk, was standing before me, her eyes scanning my designs. The low murmur of the crowd, the distant thumping of runway music, it all faded into a dull hum. "Incredible work," she murmured, her voice a low, appreciative thrum. She tapped a long, manicured nail on my centerpiece design, a gown that flowed from Arctic blue to a fiery crimson. "The use of responsive textiles is groundbreaking. Miss Winter wants to feature this in next month's spread." The words hit me with the force of a physical blow, stealing the air from my lungs. Vogue, a spread in Vogue. This was it. The moment every designer dreams of, the one that splits a life into a before and an after. I opened my mouth to thank her, to say anything, but no sound came out, and in that split second of stunned silence, my world tilted on its axis. "Actually, these are my designs." A smooth, purring voice slid into the space between us. Cassandra Blake, her golden hair tousled into a state of artful perfection, her emerald eyes as sharp and cold as cut glass, moved in front of me. She placed her perfectly manicured fingers, adorned with delicate gold rings, directly on my portfolio. Her smile was a masterpiece of practiced warmth, a dazzling display of teeth that hid a predator's bite. Maya here is just my assistant, a very talented one, of course. The word assistant was a dagger, coated in honey, and plunged deep into my ribs. It twisted, cold and cruel, shattering the fragile hope that had just begun to bloom in my chest. Behind Cassandra, her loyal acolytes, Brianna and Jade, nodded in perfect, synchronized agreement. Their phones were already out, screens glowing as they recorded my gaping, fish-like shock for their Instagram stories, no doubt to be dissected and mocked in their private group chat later. The assistant's gaze, once filled with professional admiration for me, shifted to Cassandra. She took in the expensive designer dress Cassandra wore, the effortless confidence she projected, the easy way she claimed ownership of my life's work. The calculus was simple. Cassandra looked the part. I, in my self-made but simple black dress, looked like the help. "Of course," the assistant said, her tone shifting from genuine interest to polite dismissal. "We'll be in touch with your office, Miss Blake." She handed Cassandra her card and swept away, leaving me in the wreckage. Cassandra didn't even grant me a backward glance. She was already on her phone, laughing with Brianna, her victory absolute. The camera flashes continued to pop, but now they felt accusatory, exposing my humiliation to the world. Later, huddled in a bathroom stall, the notification lit up my screen, a final twist of the knife. A screenshot from a mutual friend, a silent offering of condolence. It was their group chat. Cassandra's girl gang. "Cassandra, LMAO, did you see Maya's face?" Brianna, iconic. "She actually thought she had a chance." Jade, posting the vid now, #delusional #know your place. Cassandra, "Vogue is calling my publicist tomorrow. This is what happens when you don't know your place, Maya Chen. This is what happens when you try to fly too close to the sun." The tiled walls of the stall seemed to close in on me. I had known Cassandra was ruthless, but I had never imagined this. We weren't friends, not really, but I had been in her orbit for years, a satellite planet content with her reflected light. I'd done her art homework, helped her reimagine her lackluster designs, and convinced myself that her crumbs of approval were a fair trade for my talent. I had made myself small so she could feel big, And for my loyalty, she hadn't just stolen my work, she had tried to steal my soul. Tears blurred the screen. I stumbled out of Lincoln Center, away from the glittering facade of a world that had chewed me up and spat me out. The city noise was a symphony of my failure. Cassandra's laughter echoed in my ears, a cruel ghost haunting the streets of Manhattan. It mixed with the blare of a taxi horn, the murmur of the crowds, and then a sound that sliced through it all, the high, desperate screech of brakes that came a fraction of a second too late. The crosswalk light blurred through my tears, a flash of yellow, a world of pain, and then nothing. Silence. A profound, endless velvet black. When I wake, it's not to the sterile smell of a hospital or the concerned face of a paramedic. It's to the familiar scent of chalk dust, wood shavings, and acrylic paint. Sunlight, warm and golden, streams through a set of tall windows that I remember, with a jolt, as being cracked and grimy for years. My body feels light, unburdened. I look down at my hands. They're smooth, unblemished, free from the tiny white scars of fabric burns and the calloused pads from years of pushing needles through thick denim. These are not the hands of a 20-year-old designer. They are the hands of a teenager. My heart starts to pound a frantic, disbelieving rhythm against my ribs. I'm sitting in a worn wooden stool in the AP art classroom of Riverside Preparatory Academy. Mr. Davison is droning on about the principles of chiaroscuro, his voice the same soothing baritone I haven't heard in years. My gaze snaps to the whiteboard in the corner. In neat, looping cursive, the date is written in blue marker, September 14th, 3 years ago. The day before, my mother would drag me to the annual country club gala. The day before, I would officially enter Cassandra Blake's gilded cage. A wave of vertigo washes over me. The accident, the screech of brakes. Am I dead? Is this some kind of bizarre, hyper-realistic heaven? No, it can't be, because I remember everything. Every single detail of the next 3 years floods my mind not as a memory, but as a blueprint. Every stolen idea, every backhanded compliment, every calculated act of cruelty that Cassandra and her cronies would inflict upon me. Every moment they made me feel small, invisible, and worthless. But this time, the knowledge isn't a source of pain. It flows through my veins like liquid fire, a potent cocktail of fury and clarity. I know Cassandra's tells, the way she bites the inside of her cheek when she's lying, the slight tremor in her left hand when she's bluffing. I know her weaknesses, the deep-seated insecurity masked by arrogance. I know her family's dirty secrets, the carefully hidden financial troubles her father was facing, the reason her older brother was studying abroad instead of at Yale. I know about Brianna's carefully concealed eating disorder, a weapon she wields against herself and others. I know about Jade's rampant academic fraud, the plagiarized essays and bought term papers that secured her spot at the top of the class. Most importantly, I know how fragile their alliance is, how quickly they'll turn on each other the moment their perfect pyramid of popularity starts to crumble. In this timeline, I haven't even properly met them yet. I'm just Maya Chen, the quiet, artsy girl who keeps to herself. They don't know me, but I know them, intimately. And this time, I won't be their stepping stone. I'll be their reckoning. The memory that started it all rises to the surface, sharp and painful. The country club gala, the air thick with the scent of expensive perfume and crab cakes. My mother, beautiful and brittle in her silk sheath dress, gesturing with her champagne flute toward the center of the room. Cassandra was holding court, surrounded by a laughing circle of adults, exuding a preternatural poise for a 17-year-old. Maya, look how beautifully Cassandra carries herself, Mom had said, her voice that familiar, honey-sweet tone that always preceded a cut. She's so confident, so poised. Maybe you could learn something from her. My father, engrossed in his phone, had grunted in agreement without looking up. The Blake girl, good family. The casual dismissal, the effortless comparison, had been a tiny paper cut on my soul. I'd spent my whole life trying to earn their focused attention, a single moment where they saw me and not a project to be improved. That night, I went home and, in a fit of desperate reinvention, redesigned my entire wardrobe. I sketched for hours, trying to create a version of myself that was shinier, bolder, more confident, more like Cassandra. I wanted to become someone worthy of a second glance from my own parents. Instead, I'd turned myself into a blueprint for my own destruction. I became Cassandra's shadow, her secret weapon, grateful for the crumbs of approval she'd tossed my way while she feasted on my talent and claimed it as her own. Not this time. This time, the game is different because I'm the one who wrote the rules. They think I'm a blank page. They have no idea I'm the entire book. Back in my room that evening, after reliving the strangest day of my life, my second first day of my junior year, I pull out a fresh sketchbook. The paper is crisp, a field of clean white snow full of promise. My fingers, young and nimble again, find a familiar pencil. The lead whispers across the page. A design begins to form, something new, something fierce, something entirely mine. I snap a quick photo on my phone, an older model, I note with a grim smile, and post it to my private Instagram story. A small circle of trusted friends will see it. The caption is simple, a promise to myself. Round 2 begins now, #new life, #vindication. The plan begins not with a confrontation, but with quiet, meticulous infiltration. My first target is their digital fortress, the group chats, the photo albums, the terabytes of social proof that prop up their reign. Cassandra's arrogance is her greatest weakness, and her phone is the key. She has swim practice every Tuesday and Thursday afternoon, and she always leaves her brand new iPhone unlocked in her Hermes tote bag on the bleachers, supremely confident that no one in her inner circle would dare touch it. I, of course, am not in her inner circle. Not yet. I wait until she's in the middle of a strenuous set of laps, her powerful backstroke churning the chlorinated water into a froth. Brianna and Jade are at the other end of the pool, gossiping, their attention fixed on the boys' water polo team. The air is humid and smells sharply of chlorine. Under the guise of searching for a lost hair tie in my own gym bag, I drift closer to hers. My heart is a hummingbird in my ribs, but my hands are steady. I slip my hand into the buttery leather of her bag, my fingers closing around the cool, smooth glass of her phone. 3 minutes. That's all I need. My fingers fly across the screen, a dance I've rehearsed in my mind 100 times. I go straight for the messages. The group chat, Cassandra's Girl Gang, is a cesspool of casual cruelty. They mock scholarship students, dissecting their clothes and accents. They share unflattering, secretly taken photos of other girls with captions like, "Can you believe she wore that?" And "Someone needs to tell her that diet starts today." There are screenshots of test answers, plans to cheat on the upcoming SATs, and a long, vicious thread strategizing how to get a rival girl kicked off the cheerleading squad. It's a treasure trove of social poison. But the real gold is in her photo album. Tucked away in a hidden folder labeled Inspo are hundreds of screenshots. My screenshots. Photos of my early sketches from my private art blog, saved images from my social media, even candids of my outfits taken from across the schoolyard. Each image is cataloged, some with notes scrawled over them using the markup tool. Steal this color palette for spring. Adapt this silhouette for the winter formal dress. Love this texture. Find a cheaper fabric. She hadn't just stolen my Metamorphosis collection in the future. She'd been systematically strip mining my creativity for months, planning her theft with the precision of a corporate spy. A cold, hard fury solidifies in my gut. This wasn't a crime of opportunity. It was premeditated. I photograph everything with my own phone. Every message, every stolen sketch, every cruel comment. Evidence, receipts. I slip her phone back into the Hermes bag, arranging it exactly as it was, just as she hauls herself out of the pool, water sluicing from her sleek limbs and catching the harsh fluorescent lights like scattered diamonds. She's laughing at something Brianna yelled from across the pool, utterly oblivious. "Great practice today," I call out, my voice laced with a sweetness I don't feel. She glances my way, a flicker of surprise in her eyes that I'm speaking to her. "Sure, Maya, whatever." The dismissal is automatic, reflexive, perfect. Let her keep underestimating me. Let her think I'm just part of the scenery. The scenery is about to fall on her. My next step is to secure an ally. Revenge is a dish best served cold, but it's more satisfying when you have someone to share it with. I choose Jessica Park. A year ago, Jessica had been the queen bee of Riverside Prep, until Cassandra orchestrated a swift and brutal social coup, dethroning her with a vicious rumor campaign. Now Jessica is a pariah to her old crowd, but she's smarter and more resilient for it. She carries her exile with a defiant grace that I've always admired from afar. I find her at The Grind, the off-campus coffee shop that buzzes with the frantic energy of over-caffeinated teenagers. She's tucked into a corner booth, a textbook open in front of her, her expression brooding. I slide into the vinyl seat across from her. Her dark, intelligent eyes assess me carefully over the rim of her oat milk latte. "Maya Chen," she says, her voice low, "to what do I owe the pleasure?" "I have a proposition," I say, getting straight to the point. No need for pleasantries. "I'm not really in the business of propositions anymore," she says wryly. "They tend to end with my social life in flames." "This is about putting out the fire," I counter, pushing a slim manila folder across the table. "Or at least aiming the hose at the people who started it." She raises a skeptical eyebrow but opens the folder. Inside are carefully printed copies of the most damning evidence from Cassandra's phone, including a series of messages specifically about her. "You're playing a dangerous game, Maya," she warns, but I see a new light in her eyes as she reads. It's the flicker of old anger, the hunger for justice. "They destroyed my reputation over less." "That's exactly why you should help me." I lean forward, my voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "Look at this." I point to a specific thread. "These messages about your scholarship. They didn't just spread rumors, Jessica. They emailed the school board anonymously, claiming your family committed financial fraud on your application. They had your financial aid investigated out of pure, spiteful jealousy." Jessica's jaw tightens, her knuckles turning white where she grips the printouts. The casual cruelty she'd suspected was nothing compared to this cold, calculated malice. "Those bitches," she breathes, the words laced with venom. "I knew that investigation wasn't random. My parents were so stressed." "They're not invincible," I say softly. "They're just bullies who have never been punched back. Help me take them down and you get your justice. We both do." I play my final card. "Plus, I know you still have connections. Your cousin works at Teen Vogue, right? In the editorial department?" Jessica looks up from the pages, the last of her hesitation melting away. A slow, predatory smile spreads across her face, transforming her features. The deposed queen was ready to reclaim her throne. "Maya Chen," she says, closing the folder with a soft final thud. "I think this is the beginning of a beautiful and mutually beneficial friendship." With Jessica and her network on my side, it's time to set the trap. The bait has to be irresistible. Something so spectacular Cassandra won't be able to stop herself. Over the next 2 weeks, I pour every ounce of my talent, every bit of my future knowledge into a new collection. I call it Phoenix Rising. The designs are a quantum leap beyond metamorphosis. I sketch gowns made from recycled plastics that shimmer like dragonfly wings, jackets with integrated solar panels that can charge a phone, and dresses that use hydrochromic ink to reveal hidden patterns in the rain. It's innovative, it's sustainable, it's beautiful. It's the best work I've ever done. I compile the sketches into a brand new, expensive-looking portfolio. Then, I stage the scene. On a Wednesday afternoon, I accidentally leave the portfolio in the art room. I know Cassandra's habits. She always stays late on Wednesdays, using the quiet time to copy homework from smarter students whose bags are left unattended. It's a small transgression that speaks to her larger character. She believes she is entitled to the work of others. The trap is enhanced with modern technology, courtesy of Jessica's tech-savvy younger brother. 2 tiny, strategically placed cameras, one disguised as a pencil sharpener and the other as a glob of dried clay on a shelf, will capture everything. From the hallway, I watch the live feed on my phone with Jessica. We see Cassandra enter the empty classroom. We see her notice the portfolio on my vacant stool. A flicker of curiosity, then a furtive glance toward the door. She opens it. Her eyes widen. We see her physically tremble with excitement and greed as she flips through the pages. She pulls out her phone and with shaking hands photographs every single sketch. Then, she immediately opens her group chat to text Brianna and Jade, arranging an emergency meeting to plan their strategy for claiming the designs. Her victory, she believes, is just a few stolen images away. Her performance of returning the portfolio to my bag is flawless. She wipes it down for fingerprints, a move so brazenly cinematic it's almost funny, and places it back inside my tote, making sure everything looks undisturbed. An hour later, I burst back into the art room, feigning panic. Oh my God, has anyone seen my portfolio? The black leather one? Cassandra, who had been pretending to study a textbook, looks up with an expression of perfect, concerned sympathy. No, I haven't seen it. Oh, Maya, that's terrible. She even gets up to help me search, her voice dripping with counterfeit compassion. Don't worry, she coos, placing a hand on my arm. I'm sure it'll turn up. I hope so, I say, my voice trembling for effect. It has all my new designs in it. Oh, it will, I think to myself, meeting her false gaze with my own. It will, along with everything else. Later that night, a new message appears in a group chat I share with a few other students from art class. Tyler, a quiet but observant guy, had seen something. Art class besties. Tyler, yo Maya, saw Cassandra lurking by your stuff after school today. Seemed weird. Maya, really? That's strange. My portfolio went missing for like an hour. I just found it. Tyler, sus. Maya, probably nothing. She's always been so supportive of my work. Tyler, if you say so, just watching out for you. I smile. The seeds of doubt were planted. Now I just had to wait for them to grow. The counterattack comes on a Tuesday, swift and brutal. I'm in the middle of titrating a hydrochloric acid solution in chemistry when a student runner appears at the door with a pink slip. Maya Chen to Principal Martinez's office. A cold dread snakes its way up my spine. This isn't part of the plan. Principal Martinez is a kind man, usually. His office is a place of gentle guidance, not condemnation. But today, his face is stern, etched with deep disappointment. Spread across the polished surface of his mahogany desk are printouts. My printouts. Screenshots of my evidence folders, my meticulously organized plan to expose Cassandra, even chat logs between me and Jessica. They could only have come from someone with access to my laptop. My blood turns to ice. Jessica. The realization hits me with the force of a physical blow. She played me? She was never my ally. She must have gone back to Cassandra, offering up my entire plan as a peace offering to get back into the inner circle. A triple agent. The folder I'd given her in the coffee shop wasn't a weapon for our side. It was intel for theirs. Cassandra didn't just take the bait. She'd known it was bait all along and had set a bigger, better trap for me. Maya. Principal Martinez begins, his voice heavy. He adjusts his glasses, looking at me as if I were a stranger. I am extremely concerned. This vendetta against your classmates. The surveillance, the meticulous planning. Frankly, it's disturbing. It borders on criminal harassment. Sir, I can explain. I stammer, my mind racing to find a foothold in the crumbling ground beneath me. Those designs, Cassandra stole them. Cassandra and her friends came to me yesterday, he says, cutting me off. They showed me messages where you threatened them, where you conspired to ruin their reputations. They feel bullied, Maya. Terrified. He slides a formal letter across the desk. It's an official notice of suspension. You'll be suspended for 2 weeks pending a full investigation. Your parents have been called. They're on their way. He sighs, the sound full of weariness. I expected better from you, Maya. The walk to my locker is a walk of shame. The hallway buzzes with whispers. Everyone knows. The news has already spread like wildfire. Across the sea of staring faces, I see her. Cassandra is leaning against a locker, surrounded by her triumphant crew. She catches my eye and gives me a slow, victorious smirk. It's a look of pure, unadulterated triumph. She hasn't just won this round. She's annihilated me. That night is the lowest point of my life, both of them. My parents' disappointment is a thick, suffocating blanket. My mother paces the kitchen, her heels clicking against the marble floor like a metronome counting down the seconds to my execution. Spying on your classmates? Planning some kind of elaborate, vindictive revenge plot? Her voice, usually so controlled, cracks with disbelief and shame. This isn't the daughter we raised, Maya. We sent you to Riverside for the opportunities, for the connections, not to engage in this sordid drama. My father doesn't even look up from his work laptop, which is somehow worse. His silence is a judgment in itself. We're considering our options, he says, his voice flat and devoid of emotion. Perhaps a change of environment is in order. We're looking at boarding schools in Switzerland. Clearly, this environment isn't suitable for you anymore. Boarding school. The words hit like stones. It would be a complete erasure. A new school, a new country, thousands of miles away from my dreams, from Parsons, from New York, from any chance of reclaiming my future. They weren't just punishing me, they were exiling me. I lock myself in my room, the silence pressing in on me. On my desk is a thick, cream-colored envelope that arrived that morning. I had been too preoccupied with my plan to even open it. Now, my hands trembling, I tear it open. It's an early acceptance letter from Parsons School of Design, my dream school since I was 10 years old. A full scholarship. The culmination of everything I had ever worked for. And now, it's an impossible dream. A relic from a future that will never happen. I sink to the floor, the letter clutched in my hand. Tears of rage and despair stream down my face. They think they've won. They think I'm defeated, broken, finished. They've taken my friends, my reputation, my future. My phone buzzes on the nightstand. A notification glows on the screen, a final petty jab from the victor. Instagram, @Cassandra Blake tagged you in a story. I tap on it, my thumb shaking. It's a picture of Cassandra, Brianna, Jade, and Jessica. They're all at a table at the country club, laughing, champagne flutes raised in a toast. The caption reads, "Some people just can't handle real friendship, so blessed to have my true friends by my side. #drama-free, #blessed." Jessica smiles at the camera, a wolf in sheep's clothing. She had sold me out for a seat back at their table. I stare at the photo, at their laughing faces. The despair in my chest begins to curdle, to harden. It crystallizes into something cold, sharp, and diamond hard. A quiet fury. They have buried me, but they've forgotten one crucial detail. They've forgotten what I named my collection. They have no idea what a phoenix really means. It doesn't just rise. It's reborn in the very fire meant to destroy it. And my fire was just getting started. 3 weeks later, I walk back through the doors of Riverside Prep a different person. The suspension is over. The investigation concluded with a stern warning on my permanent record. My parents, after a series of long, tearful conversations where I laid out a sliver of the truth, enough to make them pause, have cautiously agreed to table the discussion of boarding school. They don't understand, but they see the steely resolve in my eyes, a resolve that wasn't there before. To the rest of the school, I am a pariah, the girl who went crazy and tried to frame the most popular clique in school. Cassandra, meanwhile, is basking in the glory of her victimhood. She's been parading my Phoenix Rising designs around as her own, even landing a sycophantic feature in the local newspaper as a teen fashion visionary, a prodigy on the verge of greatness. She thinks she has destroyed me. She thinks the game is over. I'm in calculus, half listening to a lecture on derivatives when the intercom on the wall crackles to life, startling the sleepy classroom. Would Maya Chen please report to the main office? Maya Chen to the main office for a special visitor. Whispers erupt around me. A trip to the principal's office for me usually means more trouble. Heads turn. I see pity, curiosity, and smug satisfaction on the faces of my classmates. I slide out of my desk, my movements calm and deliberate. The walk down the long, linoleum-tiled hallway feels different this time. It's not a walk of shame, it's a promenade toward destiny. Every step is sure. Every breath is even. Through the large glass windows of the main office, I see him first. Principal Martinez, looking flustered and starstruck. And then I see her. She is unmistakable. The severe, perfect bob. The dark sunglasses perched on her nose, even indoors. The immaculate Chanel suit that probably cost more than my parents' car. Standing with the serene, unshakable posture of a monarch is Anna Wintour. She is flanked by 2 assistants and a photographer whose camera is already raised. My heart gives a single powerful thud against my ribs. It's time. Principal Martinez ushers me inside, his earlier disappointment replaced with a nervous awe. Maya, this is Miss Wintour from Vogue? Miss Chen. Anna's voice is exactly as I remember from my other life, as crisp and cool as an autumn morning in Central Park. She removes her sunglasses and her sharp, intelligent eyes fix on me. Your Phoenix Rising collection is extraordinary. We received an anonymous submission, and I must say it's one of the most innovative concepts from a young designer I have ever seen. We would like to feature it, and you, in our upcoming Young Innovators Global Spread. The air in the room crystallizes, becoming sharp and clear. This is the moment, the pivot upon which my entire life will turn. Behind the glass wall of the office, I can see students beginning to gather, their faces pressed against the window, phones held up to record the unbelievable scene. In the growing crowd, a familiar face appears. Cassandra Blake, her mouth falling open in a perfect comical of shock. Her victory lap has just come to a screeching halt. I'm deeply honored, Miss Wintour, I say, and I'm proud of how steady my voice is, how it doesn't betray the roaring triumph in my veins. Thank you, but I feel I should mention there might be some confusion about the authorship of those designs. Another student, I pause, letting the words hang in the air, has been claiming them as her own. Anna's perfectly sculpted eyebrows arch with a flicker of professional interest. She lives for drama, for the story behind the story. Is that so? She asks, her gaze sharpening. This is where the real plan, the one no one knew about, clicks into place. My suspension, my social exile, it was all part of the trap. I needed Cassandra to believe she had won, to get comfortable, to get arrogant. I needed her to believe Jessica had betrayed me. I pull out my phone. I've been documenting my creative process for this collection from the very beginning, I say, swiping through a meticulously dated and time-stamped photo album. It shows the progression of every single sketch, from the first rough concept to the final detailed rendering, from initial inspiration to final design. Just then, the office door opens again. Jessica Park walks in, cool and composed, holding a tablet. Cassandra's face, visible through the glass, crumples in confusion. This wasn't part of their plan. The betrayal was a ruse. Jessica had come to me after our coffee shop meeting and confessed she was too scared to go against Cassandra directly. So we devised a new strategy. She would betray me, feeding Cassandra a watered-down version of my plans and earning back her trust. It was a Trojan horse. While I was suspended, Jessica was my eyes and ears, gathering even more evidence from inside their circle. The files on Principal Martinez's desk? Harmless decoys I had created myself and allowed Jessica to steal from my laptop. We have video evidence too, Jessica says smoothly, handing the tablet to Anna Winter's assistant. On the screen, crystal-clear footage from the hidden cameras in the art room begins to play. It shows Cassandra, alone, frantically photographing every page of my portfolio. It shows her texting her friends, boasting about her find. It is undeniable. It is irrefutable. Anna studies the screen, her expression turning from interest to icy disdain. Fascinating, she murmurs. And this other student is... As if on cue, Cassandra pushes her way through the gawking crowd in the hallway, her panic poorly veiled by a veneer of forced confidence. She probably senses disaster and feels the need to take control of the narrative. Her designer heels click-clack against the linoleum as she strides toward the office door, a brilliant false smile plastered on her face. She bursts in, breathless. Maya, there you are. I heard Vogue was here about our collaboration. I am so excited to finally meet everyone. The silence that follows is so profound you could hear a pin drop in another county. It's a heavy, crushing silence that sucks all the air out of the room. Cassandra's smile falters. Anna Wintour turns to face Cassandra, her movement economical and precise, like a surgeon wielding a scalpel. Miss Blake, I presume? She says, her voice silk-wrapped steel. I understand you've been taking credit for Miss Chen's work. Cassandra's carefully constructed facade cracks. Her skin, usually a perfect golden tan, goes pale. There's been a misunderstanding, she stammers, rallying with a desperate burst of her old arrogance. Maya and we work very closely together. She's my muse, my assistant. I handle the big picture concepts, and she helps with the details. Show me your sketches, Anna interrupts. The request is not a request, it's a command. Cassandra fumbles with her designer handbag, her hands shaking as she produces a folder containing her hasty, soulless copies of my originals. She thrusts them forward. Even an untrained eye could see the difference. My work, which Anna is now holding, flows with organic inspiration, the lines alive with passion and innovation. Hers are mechanical reproductions, technically proficient but utterly lacking a soul. They are tracings of a masterpiece. Anna glances at them for no more than 3 seconds before pushing them back across the desk with a dismissive flick of her wrist. These are clearly derivative, she states, her voice flat and final. She turns her gaze back to me, and for the first time, I see a flicker of something that looks like a smile in her eyes. Miss Chen, your originals demonstrate a level of innate talent and innovation that established fashion houses spend millions trying to achieve. Then she turns back to Cassandra, her face a mask of cold fury. The full power of the most influential woman in fashion descends upon a 17-year-old girl in a high school principal's office. Young lady, she says, her voice dropping to a lethal whisper. Plagiarism is the death of creativity. If you ever attempt to steal another designer's intellectual property again, I will personally ensure that every fashion school, every publication, and every design house in the world knows your name. For all the wrong reasons. Am I understood? Cassandra's golden skin turns a sickly ashen gray. She can only nod, a single jerky movement. Through the glass, I see her crew, Brianna and Jade, slowly backing away from the window, melting back into the crowd. The pyramid has crumbled. The queen has been dethroned. Later that afternoon, my phone buzzes. It's an Instagram notification. At Vogue magazine. Meet Maya Chen at Maya Chen Designs. The 17-year-old sustainable fashion innovator whose Phoenix Rising collection will change how you think about couture. She's proof that true talent cannot be silenced. Full feature in our March issue. #Young Innovators, #Fashion Revolution, #Maya Chen. The post features a stunning photo the Vogue photographer took of me in the office, holding my portfolio, a look of quiet, steely triumph on my face. It has 847,293 likes. The comments are disabled. Vogue doesn't need to host a debate. They've delivered the verdict. The next morning, Principal Martinez calls a special all-school assembly on the topic of academic integrity and creative ownership. It's a thinly veiled reference to the drama that has now exploded beyond the walls of Riverside Prep. The hashtag #MayaChen is trending on TikTok. The story has been picked up by fashion blogs and even mainstream news outlets. The entire school files into the auditorium, the air buzzing with whispers and the frantic scrolling of phones. I sit in the front row, not with my parents, but with Jessica. I'm wearing a dress I designed and sewed myself over the weekend. A simple, elegant sheath of midnight blue silk that, under the hot stage lights, shifts to a shimmering, ethereal silver. It's a subtle nod to my Metamorphosis collection, the one that started it all. Anna Wintour, of course, could not attend a high school assembly. But she sent something better. Principal Martinez dims the lights, and the giant screen above the stage flickers to life. Anna's face, poised and powerful, fills the screen. Students of Riverside Preparatory Academy. Her voice, amplified by the auditorium's sound system, commands absolute silence. Fashion, like all art, is built on a foundation of integrity, innovation, and respect for the creative minds that push our world forward. When that sacred trust is broken, when one person's work is stolen and credited to another, it damages not just the victim, it weakens the entire industry. It extinguishes the very light we seek. On screen, she holds up one of my Phoenix Rising sketches. These designs represent the future of sustainable fashion. They are the work of a singular, brilliant vision. She looks directly into the camera. And they belong to Maya Chen, and Maya Chen alone. The auditorium erupts into a cacophony of applause and shocked gasps. I can feel hundreds of pairs of eyes on me, but for the first time, they aren't filled with pity or scorn. They're filled with respect, with awe. I risk a glance over my shoulder and catch sight of Cassandra 3 rows back. She's slumped in her seat, small and insignificant, her face pale. Her former admirers, the ones who had laughed at my humiliation, now turned to stare at her with open contempt. Brianna and Jade have strategically moved to seats at the other end of the row, physically and symbolically abandoning their sinking ship. By lunchtime, my Instagram account has gained over 50,000 new followers. The comments and DMs are a tidal wave of support. Fashion students from around the world are sharing my story. Industry professionals are offering internships. Teenagers are sharing their own stories of having their art, their music, their writing stolen. I've become a symbol for every quiet kid who was ever underestimated. The real vindication, however, comes from closer to home. Tyler, the quiet boy from art class, posts a long, detailed Twitter thread about every time he personally witnessed Cassandra copying someone else's work over the years. It goes viral. Former friends of hers, emboldened by the truth, begin sharing screenshots of her cruel group chats and vicious gossip. Even a few teachers quietly and anonymously admit to the school paper that they'd always harbored suspicions about how her artistic abilities had improved so dramatically and suddenly during her junior year. The girl who once made me feel invisible is now desperately, frantically trying to disappear herself. She has deleted all of her social media accounts. She stops coming to lunch, and rumor has it her parents have pulled her out of school and hired a crisis management firm. The social structure of Riverside Prep has been irrevocably altered. I should feel a surge of triumphant joy, a giddy rush of victory. And while there is a deep, satisfying sense of justice, what I feel most is lightness. I feel free. Free from the crushing weight of their judgment. Free from the desperate, gnawing need for my parents' approval. Free to simply be the person I always was, underneath the shadow they had cast over me. A TikTok compilation video starts trending. #Maya Chen Challenge. It's a split-screen trend. On one side, students share stories and pictures of work that was stolen from them. On the other side, they showcase the new, brilliant things they're creating now. It's a global movement of creative reclamation. The top comment on the original video has over 2 million likes. This is what happens when you underestimate the quiet kid. Cassandra corners me after school a week later by the deserted athletic fields. It's the first time I've seen her since the assembly. The perfect, polished mask she wore for years has finally slipped, shattered into a million pieces. Gone is the poised, untouchable socialite. In her place is a desperate, broken teenager whose entire world has collapsed. "You destroyed my life," she hisses, her voice rough with unshed tears. Her mascara is smudged, her golden hair is limp. My college applications have been rescinded. My reputation, my family, everything is gone. For a fleeting moment, a ghost of the old Maya feels a pang of pity for her, but it vanishes as quickly as it comes. "You destroyed your own life, Cassandra," I reply, my voice quiet but firm. "You did that the moment you decided my work was yours for the taking. I just turned on the lights so everyone else could see what you were doing in the dark." "But we were friends," she insists, her voice rising with desperation. "I helped you. I let you hang out with us." "You used me," I say, the distinction clear and sharp in my mind. There's a difference. I adjust the strap of my bag on my shoulder, a bag filled not with stolen dreams but with new sketchbooks, new opportunities, and letters from genuine friends. You know, the saddest part is that you're not untalented. You could have been successful with your own work, your own ideas. But you were lazy. You chose the easy path, the cruel path. And now you have to live with the consequences. I turn and walk away, leaving her standing alone on the field. She doesn't call after me, she just stands there, a solitary figure against the setting sun, probably processing the novel concept that, for the first time in her privileged, gilded life, her actions have consequences. 6 months later, the setting sun is not illuminating a high school athletic field, but the ancient, beautiful rooftops of Milan. I'm standing on the balcony of a 5-star hotel, not as a desperate wannabe clutching a portfolio, but as Vogue's youngest ever contributing editor for global youth culture. My Phoenix Rising capsule collection, produced in partnership with a major sustainable fashion house, launched to rave critical and commercial acclaim. A significant portion of the proceeds is now funding the Phoenix Fund, a scholarship I established for underprivileged young design students. Jessica joins me on the balcony, handing me a flute of bubbling champagne. The setting sun catches the crystal, scattering tiny rainbows across the marble railing. She has thrived in the post-Cassandra world, becoming the editor of the school paper and securing her own internship with Teen Vogue through her cousin, an opportunity she earned entirely on her own merit. So, what's next for the girl who single-handedly brought down the mean girl industrial complex? She asks, clinking her glass against mine. I smile, a genuine, unburdened smile. I pull out my phone, not to check Instagram likes, but to show her my newest project. It's the beta version of an app I've been developing with a team of coders I met through the Vogue feature. It's a platform that helps creative students and independent artists document, timestamp, and watermark their work, creating a blockchain-verified record of ownership to protect them from theft. I got a message yesterday, I say, scrolling through my DMs, from a girl in Tokyo. A group of famous influencers stole her photography concepts for a major ad campaign, and another from a songwriter in Nashville whose ex-boyfriend's band just hit #1 on Spotify with a song using her lyrics. The possibilities unfold before me, a bolt of uncut fabric waiting to be shaped into something new, something beautiful, something just. This was never just about Cassandra. It was about leveling the playing field for every creator who has ever been silenced or stolen from. Sounds like Maya Chen isn't done changing the world, Jessica says, her eyes shining with pride. My phone buzzes with a new message from an unknown number. Unknown number. Hi Maya, I saw your TikTok about protecting creative work and I downloaded your app beta. It's amazing. I'm a sophomore computer science major at Stanford, and someone in my dorm has been stealing my coding projects and passing them off as his own to his internship interviewers. He just got an offer from Google. Can you help? I feel that familiar fire ignite in my chest, that cold, clear sense of purpose. Maya, send me everything. Let's make sure this never happens to another student in your program again. Maya, by the way, what's your story? I might know someone at Teen Vogue who'd love to feature more young women in STEM. Maya, round 3 begins now.